Hey guys, Tyler here, and this is the Garage Warrior podcast and video cast, and I am super excited today to have on the call one more time Jimmy Moore. How's it going, Jimmy?
Hey man, what's going on?
Not much, brother. Just getting on the phone with Jimmy Moore, prepared to talk about cholesterol today. So, Jimmy, you recently came out with a book all about cholesterol, and I've been getting questions over and over and over again about cholesterol. There you go. There's the book. If you guys are watching, Cholesterol Clarity: What the HDL is Wrong with My Numbers by Jimmy Moore. You guys can check that out on Amazon, I'm sure, or Jimmy's website, which we'll talk about in a few. But Jimmy, maybe for people who are listening, how did you get involved with learning more about cholesterol, and who did you work with to help develop this book?
This book was a long time in the making.
Sure.
As you know, and I've told my story on your show before, I lost 180 pounds in 2004, and I go to see my doctor, Tyler, and I was like, man, he's going to think I'm this incredible rock star of a patient, man.
Right.
When I go and see him, I've lost 180 pounds. All my health is, markedly better. He's just going to just be incredibly proud. So he was proud of the weight loss. But then he said, well, how'd you do this? And I said, oh, it was the Atkins diet. And he went, oh. And I went, uh-oh, here we go. He said, let's check your cholesterol levels. That was the first thing that popped in his mind. And, it should have kind of dawned on me at that point, something was up. But anyway, we got the numbers run, and I get the numbers back before I go see him. And I saw that my HDL cholesterol, which is considered the good cholesterol, had gone from somewhere in the low 20s, upper teens, low 20s to 72. Now, if you know anything about HDL, that's the hardest number to move, to get to go up. And especially for us guys, girls, they can go well over 100 very easily. And we can talk about how they do that. But for us guys, you can do all the things in the world, and you're lucky if you get it to 70. So 72, I was very proud of. So that was one. And then the other number that kind of stuck out to me was my triglycerides, which is another blood fat, and it was 43. Now, I don't know what it was beforehand, but it was probably, in the hundreds at least before I started low carb. So I looked at those two numbers. I was like, man, he's going to think this is just incredible. My health is better, yada, yada. So I go to the doctor. This was way back in 2005, right after I lost my weight in 2004. And I said, what do you think about my cholesterol? And he's like, these numbers are horrible. And I went, what are you talking about? Aren't the HDL and triglycerides, aren't they right where they need to be? And in fact, probably some of the best you've seen. Oh yeah, those are incredible. But your LDL is 185 and your total cholesterol is 285. You need to be on a statin drug. And now he had me on statins before, Tyler. I took Lipitor and started having joint pain. In fact, I was playing some basketball at my church, and I went up for a rebound, and this thumb right here just went straight backwards. And I had to go to the emergency room, and the ER doc said, do you take cholesterol-lowering meds? And they're like, yeah. He's like, you need to talk to your doctor about coming off of those, because even then, they knew there were problems with them. And so anyway, I had been on both Lipitor and Crestor, and gave me the bad joint pain. I really was not interested in getting into joint pain anymore.
Right.
So when he started saying, well, you need to be on a statin again, I went, we're going to have to figure out something else. And it was at that point that I realized there's more to this cholesterol story than what we've been told. And so for the past decade, I've basically been looking for those answers for me personally. And then along the way, I've met a lot of these different experts on my podcast that I've been able to interview. Many of them showed up in Cholesterol Clarity as an expert. So I just wanted to get to the bottom of it. And not just that, there have been a lot of books written about cholesterol, but not many have written it from the perspective of, all right, I realize you're not a medical doctor. You're not some medical professional. You need to have it spoken in plain English. I'm a plain English kind of guy. And so that's what we try to do in Cholesterol Clarity, literally hold you by the hand and say, you know what, there's more to this story than total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, which is all your doctor's focusing on.
Absolutely. Well, let's dig right in, Jimmy. That's a great little backstory to people. They know that you've gone through it yourself. Why should we not listen about total cholesterol? Tell us about total cholesterol and what that really means.
Man, total cholesterol is one of the biggest scams at least on the cholesterol panel, because people, they say, well, you need to make your total cholesterol go lower. Well, let's stop and think about what's in the total cholesterol. You've got LDL-C, you've got HDL-C, and you got this thing called VLDL. Let's get VLDL out of the way first. All VLDL is your triglycerides number divided by 5. That's your VLDL. So that's one of the numbers, and you obviously want that one to be as low as possible because lower triglycerides is a good thing. But let's look at the HDL-C. You want that to be higher. So why are we arbitrarily saying in a total cholesterol, let's go lower? No, one of the numbers, HDL-C, is one you want to have higher. So, I had a lady about 2 months ago wrote me, and she was all upset because she went to see her doctor, and her doctor said, you need to be on a statin drug because she had a 225 total cholesterol. Now, that's what they looked at. And I said, well, what was the breakdown of the LDL and HDL and all? Her HDL was 130 of that. And I'm going, so what does he want you to take away more of the good cholesterol to make your total be within range without having a statin drug deficiency suddenly? It just didn't make sense to me. So HDL is a good thing that you want higher. So that's another reason total cholesterol is kind of bogus. And then the final piece, and this one I think is the most important, Tyler, is LDL is not an exact number. Everybody thinks LDL-C on their cholesterol panel is directly measured. It's configured using this thing called the Friedewald equation. You can Google it if you want to look it up. And basically what that does is it plugs in your other numbers and then it estimates what your LDL is. And here's a dirty little secret. If you have lower triglycerides and higher HDL, which tends to be the case when you eat a paleo or low carb diet, that Friedewald equation is going to way overestimate your LDL. So you could go see your doctor and your LDL could be 180 according to the Friedewald equation, but directly measured, it probably wouldn't be that high. And yet he's going to put you on medication simply because that estimated number tells him that you're in the danger zone.
Absolutely. That's just crazy. You know, the fact that you mentioned that one of them should be higher kind of just debunks the entire, cholesterol number myth as well. And then the estimation is just insane. It's just crazy that they're just literally guessing. Now, one of the things I've heard is that you can go back for a cholesterol panel several days in a row and get different types of readings. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
3 hours from now, you could have it run right now and then go 3 hours later and it will be different. In fact, one of my cholesterol clarity experts was Chris Masterjohn, and he's done, a lot of these kind of articles before. And he said that it can fluctuate upwards of 40, 50 points within just a few hours.
Wow.
So basing treatment on one singular number without doing kind of a series of tests over time is really kind of foolish. And I'll give you an example. I think last time I was on your show, I was talking about my nutritional ketosis, where I was actually losing weight last year. In the middle of it, Tyler, just for fun, while I was writing this cholesterol book, I went and got my total cholesterol run at my local Sam's Club. They did it for free. And so I'm like, okay, I know it doesn't mean anything, but this should be fun. So I go and I get it tested, and the lady was all happy-go-lucky and chipper and happy until she saw my total cholesterol. 419 was the number, 419. And she was like, sir, you okay? She thought I was going to like keel over like right there because my cholesterol was that high. And so she thought I was in great danger of dying or whatever right in front of her from having that high of cholesterol. 6 months later, I go get it run after becoming kind of weight stable, and weight loss is one of the things that can mess with your cholesterol, by the way, and we can talk about those things. Yeah. But it was 306 6 months later. So it tells you and I didn't change a thing other than I stopped losing weight. So that tells you how much it can fluctuate, even over a brief period of time without really changing anything. Now, of course, any doctor would have put me on a statin medication. It would have artificially lowered that cholesterol down into somewhat of a normal range, but it would not have improved my heart health.
Sure.
At all.
Sure. And so why is it that they're trying to lower your cholesterol into this healthy range? Like what is their sales pitch behind lowering your cholesterol?
Yeah,